Good afternoon, everyone. Coming off a tough Saturday loss there to Army. It's one of those days. Army's a well-coached team, ball control team. I thought they were very physical at the point of attack and kind of kept the momentum all day long from the onset after our opening possession turnover, and we really couldn't get back figured out, both offensively and defensively after that. But they're a very, very good football team. They do a great job. Coach Monken and his staff is, they're a bunch of good coaches, of course. And it was disappointing, just to say the least, how we went out there and performed. But today's a new day. It's Monday. It's Labor Day. It's North Carolina week. It's an opportunity to kind of put this thing behind us. Told these guys, we all are at fault in that loss on Saturday. Let's accept that, and then we move on. And I think we're all in agreement. And I think our Monday practice has already been much better than anticipated this morning. So that being said, we'll open up some questions and get started.
Thanks, Coach. As Coach alluded to, we'll now take questions from members of the media. If you can keep yourself on mute until you're ready to ask your question and then mute yourself again, we would appreciate it. Go ahead with questions for Coach.
Coach, Anthony with the Atlanta Voice newspaper. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you? I'm doing a lot better today than I was Saturday.
Right. I was hoping so. I was like, hopefully he feels better.
Hey, listen, you put a lot of time into this job, and those losses are tough. They really are.
Yeah, of course. Just going off of that, obviously, come off a tough loss, but you have UNC this week and just the rest of your schedule. As a coach, how would you just describe you and your team's eagerness just to get back out on the field this upcoming weekend? Because of course it's a big game.
Well, after seeing our practice today, I would say we're ready to go. It was very sharp and businesslike today. Mondays typically aren't that way. They're a little bit more relaxed, and you don't do a lot of popping, so to speak, and just trying to get refocused on the task at hand and move forward. But today there was a lot of attentiveness out there, and you call it eagerness. They were ready to get out there and put that thing behind them and start moving forward towards North Carolina. And with such a quality opponent coming up, there's an excitement. Our team's excited to go up there in Chapel Hill and play there in Kenan Stadium, and they've got a great offense. And I know a lot about them. One of my great friends is the offensive line coach. Their wide receiver coach is a great friend of mine as well. The defensive coordinator is a guy that I've battled with back in my old Southern Conference days when he was at Elon and we were at App State. So there's a lot of things that I'm personally looking forward to going up there, but we're ready to go play North Carolina, and we're getting ready to go up there and compete very, very hard.
Coach, I go next. My name is Kevin Taylor of TaylorMade Sports with Kevin Taylor.
Yes.
And how are you?
I'm great. I am great,
well,
Kevin. Thanks for asking.
You're welcome. My question is, what have you seen so far of your evaluation from North Carolina on offense as well as defense that you can tell us about so far in our preview?
Well, they've got one game under the belt, and it certainly wasn't the game offensively or defensively that they wanted, coming off a loss there to Virginia Tech. They're very, very capable. It all starts with their quarterback and their RPO game. You got to be really, really attentive. It's not one of those games that you can sit back and defeat the run or the pass. You're going to have to defeat everything. And they're very, very capable of doing that. They lost some talented players from a year ago, but they've got talented players back. They're big and strong up front and on the offensive line. And, so they're going to be a tough task to handle for us defensively. And then defensively, it's the same thing. They're a little similar to the defense we saw back here on Saturday. Probably schematic wise, they'll play a little forward down front, but they're more that odd front defense. But they're going to be ready to play. They're going to be just like us coming off that loss. And those losses don't feel too well. They've had a little extra time to look at their games, playing a day earlier, and they're focused and ready to go. So.
Hey, Shawn, this is Aaron. This is Aaron Beard with the Associated Press. I'm based up in North Carolina. I did want to ask you about when you play Army, they ran 67 times and threw, if I'm counting, 4 passes. You're going to be playing a very different type of offense. Did you just have to kind of throw out? I mean, I don't know how much you prep for Army specifically versus these are our concepts and we stick to our concepts. How do you sort of handle that drastic of a change when you're preparing defensively?
Well, you got to understand. I mean, you really can't throw everything in there for the Army game. I mean, we've got a season ahead of us. We've got 11 other opponents that are really spread offenses. I mean, they're not the Army offense. We, of course, aren't the Army offense either. So, we had to go and we had to practice and compete against the spread more so than probably really focusing on the Army attack. Because it's just, I hate to say it, it's one game. We've got to be good against those other 11 offenses that are very, very similar. So, we focused enough on Army, I thought, but we had to also plan for these upcoming ball games. This is what we're going to see the next 11 ball games. This is what we've got to be good at. You kind of hold your breath when you go up against that Army attack. You try to keep them in check as much as you can. It's very hard to keep a 260-pound fullback when they're just running veer off tackle to less than 3 yards. And they did a great job of moving it 3 yards, 3 yards, 3 yards. And if you look at us defensively, we're probably not physically equipped on the edges, so to speak, to kind of stop that kind of offense. Now, against this spread, our quickness, our elusiveness, things of that nature play a little bit more in our hands.
Coach, looking back at Saturday, the offensive line had some struggles and it kind of couldn't really get a foothold. Looking back, was there any things that you could pinpoint with what was happening to where you couldn't get the production you're hoping to get from what you thought would be a steady unit this season? Yeah,
they're going to be a steady unit. I mean, we've got to stay on the field a little bit more to become steadier. You just don't go out there and get in a groove. Things become better as you run more plays. And, at times they did have their struggles, of course, but they're going to be steady and they're going to get back to what they do. They're in I guess it may have been the first score. There was only one touchdown score. We kind of got them in that groove. I said, our OC, Braglin and I, we talked, let's get a little too tight end stuff. Let's give these guys a chance to move the football for us offensively. And I think they did so. I mean, we had some good runs. Destin ended up scoring that touchdown, and they kind of got in a rhythm. And that's when we get good, is when we can get in the rhythm offensively. And it takes a little bit of time. It just doesn't happen one play. It's hard to be in a rhythm after 3 plays and a fumble, and one was a run.
Coach, you had several guys out. Obviously, I'm not sure if you could comment specifically on their status for this upcoming Saturday, if they'll be back. But I know a lot of starters were missing, and certainly. Yeah,
we had a lot of starters missing. I kind of joked with somebody after the game. I said, I came in here and I said, nobody even asked about missing 5 starters in that ball game. But they're going to be back. I don't know if they're going to be back soon enough to give us a full goal on this Saturday, but they all should be returning at some point this week.
Hey, Coach, it's Marcel, Future Sports Inquiry. You just mentioned you're missing the starters from the last game, but Jamari Thrash stepped up and had a big production for you as a wide receiver. What about his performance and just his development in his sophomore campaign?
It's a great question. He did have an excellent ball game. Old Thrash came in here, and when he was a true freshman, he didn't speak. He's kind of quiet, and he's really matured and come into his own. He's got a great personality, and he and I really we kind of cut up and get after each other a little bit, and he's really come into his own. It was no surprise to see him go out there and play well. He had a very, very good camp, and he's worked extremely hard. He's a real solid performer, and to see him go make those plays was great to see. And those guys, guys like him will start bursting onto the scene as the season progresses as well.
Any other questions for Coach at this time?
I got one more.
What?
So with the 2 muff punts didn't actually count in the game, but you did have 2 kicks off Michael Hayes' foot that ended up with a fumble recovery. You had the blocked extra point. Even though not all the plays had clean, there's the holding penalties that brought those back. But do you still see that, there's a couple plays of big play potential, special teams, that if you can clean up all the rest of it, that maybe there's some chances in that third phase to get some impact plays?
Oh, no question about it. I mean, if you look at our kickoff right there, Noel is putting that ball in the end zone right there, and that's a big ordeal. If you can consistently place that ball in the end zone and don't have the kickoff returns. Hayes managed the rugby punch right there, the little rollout rugbies very, very well, got them on the ground with the potential. That's why you do these rugbies, to have that opportunity to create a turnover type scenario for you, hitting a guy in the back or the foot. And he did that well. Yeah, we had 2 holding penalties, which is, I've never in my life seen a punt, a turnover, a holding, a punt, a turnover, a holding. And it's just happened like that on Saturday. You always can look back and say, what if? But had we recovered that fumble on that first kick and taken it down and scored, we would have been almost right on track. And there would have been a little momentum swing back our way. They did do a great job. Keith Brown, blocks that extra point. When you want to talk about great effort, when you want to see some great effort, and we pointed this out this morning in our meeting, and they all was great effort on the extra point. But Tay Lane and Keith's coming off that left side edge, and Tay buries that D gap in between that tight end and that wing right there and really pushes the pressure. And then Braquise comes off that edge and makes a great, great play. And not only does he make a great play on the block, he then gets up and goes and puts the kicker straight on his back, 15 yards downfield on the return. So they come back and see that after we get the block extra point, and then come and try to do the fake on him. And what's really impressive in that sense is Braquise instantly recognizes what's happening, gets on the wing. The wing is supposed to out leverage him. They're supposed to actually run off him, and he plays it perfectly. And the pursuit comes from inside out and snuffs that out. Those are all really, really good football plays. Those are some plays that we haven't made around here. We haven't had our kickoffs in the end zone. We haven't had, the block extra point off the edge. And that was his idea, to change that block point. He said, let's go from the left side and make that happen. He said, I can get it from there. And he sure did. So there's a lot of positives. You coming out of your first game, certainly all coaches are all negative. They're negative, negative, negative. We have this thing that we do each week after everything, every day or every game, called the good, the bad, and the ugly. And we start with the good, and typically we put 2 or 3 plays offensively, defensively, and special teams up there, and then we go to the bad, and then we certainly go to the ugly at the end. But there's positive things that came out of that game. We're really, we're still set on course to go do the things we want to do here. A little bump right there in the road, little slap in the face right there to get your attention, but we're ready to go.
Coach Zeke Palermo, SB Nation. At the end of the game, we saw Darren Granger take snaps. Is he your definitive number 2 behind Quad?
He is.
Awesome. Thank you.
Coach, of course, when you're playing opponents on the road like this, especially out of conference opponents, I've noticed just in your tenure here, you always find things at the opponent's stadium that helps you prepare for the game. Like prime example, when you guys played Tennessee, I remember all week you guys played Rocky Top loud throughout the stadium, and the whole city of Atlanta could hear it just because you want them to go into that environment, just ready for that. When you look at UNC and going up to Chapel Hill, is there anything that stands out to you as a coach that you want your team to just most importantly be ready for?
Well, like I said, I'm really good friends with some great coaches on that staff, and I want them all to understand exactly who they are and how they coach. And the offensive line coach up there is the whole reason I became a coach. To tell you the truth, I became an offensive line coach, and they're going to understand he's tough, he's physical, and they're going to get after their tail defensively. They're going to try everything in their power. He loves to run the football. He loves to pound it down their throat. And he's going to try to fuel that. So I'll speak on a few of those things. Their wide receiver and I coached at Appalachian State for a number of years. So and they're all trash talkers too. I want you to know it. They're all trash talkers. So I know what they're telling their players right now, and they want to kick my tail just as bad as I want to kick them. Probably worse so, because the first time I played my old line coach, Coach Searles up there, I was at South Carolina. He was at Georgia, and we whipped him pretty good, 17-6 in my opening debut at South Carolina in the SEC. So he's probably ready. He's probably ready to go.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach, I have another question as well. Just talk about your quarterback play from this past Saturday, because it looks like Cornelius was a good game manager. Didn't really do overly too much. He'll be seeing kind of the same defense kind of from what Army had this coming week in North Carolina. Would the same game plan be for him going into this game as well as last week, or would you maybe give him a little bit more attempts?
Oh, we're going to see. We're still early in this game plan, so we're going to have to find out. Ultimately, it's what their defense gives us. We joke around here a lot. We look for the layups. If we can handle our little RPO package and look for our quick game or some shots downfield, we're certainly going to take those. Those are in his hand at any given moment, so he has the ability to do that. He played average on Saturday. He wasn't managing it all that great, but it was just an average day. We all he expects us to coach better. We expect him to play better, and we're gonna develop a game plan that's going to be suitable for everyone involved, not just squad, for our running backs, our tight ends, and our wideouts as well.